1. Recently I went to a grocery store. The store is a popular chain in my area. Most of the employees wear reddish polo shirts with black aprons or vests over them. Some just wear unbranded dress shirts, or have dress codes unique to their department, like the coat worn by people in the meat department. I was wearing a black polo with a small logo for my OT clinic. This must have confused one of the other customers. I was picking up some ingredients for a bake sale going on at the grade school my girls attend. My wife was not only the organizer, she was baking 4 items to include in the sale. Since she was at home preparing cookies and brownies, I was sent to get more essentials like sugar and frosting. In the baking aisle, I was kneeling down to reach the large bags of sugar that are always on the bottom shelf. I was reaching towards the back of the bottom shelf since there weren't many bags left. While doing this, I was careful not to overexert my right hand, since I recently had to get stitches and it still hurt. Cut it with a razor while helping to set up a neighborhood haunted house. That's when I heard a high-pitched voice say, "I'll fight it myself!" I thought the voice was unnecessarily loud, but didn't really give it a second thought, as I grabbed the bag and lifted it up to my cart. I placed it on the handle on top of the cart for a moment to give my hand a rest, when a woman grabbed the bag off my cart, put it in her own and said, "Great, I don't have to go looking for it now." It was the same voice, and before I could react, she happily walked away and was out of sight, as soon as she turned at the end of the aisle. There was nothing for me to do again but bend down and start the process over to get the last bag of sugar. After getting butter and eggs from the back of the store, I went through the condiments aisle to get to the front. The moment I entered the aisle, I saw the woman. I wanted to see if she would say anything as I walked by, but she was occupied with another customer. "Sir?" The woman's voice was so loud and piercing, it literally made me stop in my tracks for a moment. "Could you help me reach the ketchup? I need ketchup." She pointed to the top shelf that held the larger sizes of ketchup bottles. She didn't see me yet. She was speaking to an elderly gentleman who was walking with the aid of a cane. "They're too far back," the woman exclaimed.
"I wish I could help you," the man replied, "but I don't think I'll have any more luck than you."
The man wasn't much taller than the woman.
"But I can't reach the ketchup. I need it."
Fearing that the woman would not leave the man alone, I stepped in. "I'll get the ketchup for you, ma'am." Reaching up was much easier than getting under a shelf. I could easily use my left hand to grab the bottle for the lady. She looked over her shoulder at me and then turned back to the gentleman.
"Let the employee get it."
Again, her voice was loud, as if she were trying to speak over some ambient noise that only she could hear. "I am not an employee, ma'am." The lady turned around to face me.
"But I need some ketchup."
"I'll help you get the ketchup. Do you work here?" "No," I replied.
"Why do you want the ketchup?"
"I don't want any ketchup. I'm trying to help you."
"I need ketchup."
She pointed to the top shelf again. "I know," I said, failing to hide the frustration in my voice. I had to reach over her outstretched arm, but I grabbed the bottle that she appeared to be pointing at. I tried to hand the bottle to her, but she looked at it in my hand and said,
"That's not big enough. I need the big ketchup."
I sighed and put the bottle back before picking up the 64-ounce bottle.
"The lid is on the top,"
the woman whined. "What?" I asked, thoroughly confused.
"The lid is on the top of the ketchup. I need the ketchup with the lid on the bottom."
"You said you wanted the big one. There are only 2 choices. A 64-ounce bottle with the lid on top, or a 32-ounce bottle with an inverted lid."
"I need the big ketchup with the lid on the bottom."
I summoned patience I didn't know that I had. "Perhaps you should get 2 of the 32-ounce bottles with the lid on the bottom." I put the larger bottle back and picked up the inverted ketchup bottle. When I held the bottle out for her to take, she just stared at it. So I put it in her cart, next to the large bag of sugar, and grabbed a second bottle. This one she took from me.
"I need the big ketchup."
This time the woman really yelled,
"This isn't the big ketchup. I need the big ketchup."
She drew the attention of the entire store, including several employees that curiously looked in from the end of the aisle. "I'm sorry," I said. "I don't think I can help you with your ketchup problem anymore." As I reached for my cart, the woman threw the bottle of ketchup at me. I reacted by deflecting it away with my sutured hand. "Ah!" I exclaimed in pain. The bottle went flying into the shelf on the opposite side of the ketchup display, with a loud cracking sound. Ketchup sprayed all over the products on the shelf. The lid of the bottle had cracked and broke off on impact. "What's going on here?" A woman who appeared to be the manager stepped up from behind the other employees.
"He doesn't work here!"
the obnoxious woman yelled. "Ma'am, calm down," the manager said, trying to get the lady to quiet down.
"Tell me, he acts like he works here."
The woman started pointing at me.
"He doesn't work here. Employees should help the customers. He doesn't work here."
I tried to ignore the lady and inspected my hand. It was painful, but no serious damage. "No, he doesn't work here," the manager said calmly.
"He followed me through the store and pretended to work here."
"That's not true," the elderly gentleman spoke up. "He offered to help her. He explained that he doesn't work here after she asked him."
"He kept trying to give me the wrong ketchup."
To everyone's relief, the woman was now speaking at her normal volume. The man with the cane continued. "That man was being as helpful as he could. She wasn't being reasonable." The manager saw me looking at my hand. "Are you hurt?" "I'll be fine," I replied. "I'm sorry for the mess." One of the other employees stepped close to the manager and spoke in a low voice.
"That woman threw the bottle at him. We all saw it."
"That's true," the old man added. "Take him and his stuff to the customer service and wait for me," the manager told the employee. "If he needs anything for his hand, get it for him." The employee took hold of my cart and asked me to follow him. As I left the aisle, the woman asked,
"Are you kicking him out?"
"No," the manager replied. At the customer service desk up front, I asked for ice for my hand, and the employees promptly provided it. The customer service desk asked us what happened. "I don't know," I started to explain.
"He should be kicked out for pretending to work here."
The loud, shrill voice could be heard through the store. A moment later, the elderly man with the cane walked up the front of the store and sat on the bench near the customer service desk. "That woman is crazy," he said. Then 2 cops came into the store and followed an employee to the condiments aisle. "I have to call my wife," I said. "I'm supposed to get this stuff for the bake sale to her, and it looks like this might take a while."
"Is that the St. Trinian's bake sale?"
the customer service desk asked. "Yes," I said, and I made the call. "You know it."
"My daughter goes to St. Trinian's."
"Really, my wife is organizing the bake sale." At this point, the call connects and my wife picks up. I try to explain to her what happened and that it might take longer than expected before I'm home. However, I had to cut my call short when one of the police officers started asking me questions. He asked me a few questions to get my side of the events. I told him everything, including what happened with the sugar. The manager arrived at customer service while I was talking to the officer. Once I was done, she said, "We're going to issue you a gift card for the value of the items in your cart." "That isn't really necessary," I said. "It wasn't your fault." "Are you sure?" The manager seemed disappointed. The clerk spoke up. "This stuff is for St. Trinian's bake sale. His wife is the organizer." "Well, why don't you consider it a donation then?" the manager suggested. "Plus, I think we can donate some custom-baked goods from our bakery." "That would be great." "Have your wife call me as soon as possible. We'll work something out." The clerk and the employee that got ice for me rang up my items, asked if I needed anything else, and issued a gift card for just over the amount of my total, and used it to pay for the groceries. They gave me the card, which had less than $5 left. During that time, the cop interviewed the old man. When he was done, the old man asked, "What happened to that lady?" "She's been banned from the store," the manager said coldly, and walked away with the officer. We both watched as the second officer escorted the lady out of the store, as the manager and first officer followed. 2. So, for the past few months I've been working as a cashier in a supermarket. Now, as most of you know, there can be some really annoying customers. Here's my fair share of the stories, even if it's not the most horrible thing to happen. This took place several weeks ago. I was happily going on with my afternoon shift. Then this elderly couple come in and start to put their products on the counter, and I scan them, as I'm supposed to. They were really nice at the start, and there was really nothing to criticize them on. Until the moment of paying comes. Note I did make a mistake during the events, but the way they handled it wasn't the best. Before I continue, here's a little background. While in most stores you can pay a little bit extra with your card, and then the cashier hands you the extra money in cash, so you kind of withdraw the money from your bank account. However, our store does not accept this method, since we literally have an ATM in the corner. So, EC equals elderly couple, me equals me.
Can we do a small withdrawal at your cash register?
I'm sorry, ma'am, but we don't do that here. There is an ATM over there where you can withdraw some money. I pointed them in the direction and generally stayed nice to them.
We know, but you can only withdraw €20 or more, and we only need €1.
Since they were super nice up until this moment, I decided to be a good guy and accept their request. However, since this was something I had never done before, and because it's something out of the ordinary, and because I can't cope with sudden changes that well, I got a little confused and instead accidentally charged €1 too much. I didn't realize it at first, and neither did they. So I went on with the next customer. This is where stuff goes down. As I was busy with the next customer, they came back to me.
I'm sorry, but you have charged €1 too much.
Oh, I did. I apologize. Once I'm done with this customer, I can help you further, okay? They shrugged it off at first. Note there was quite a line building up, but within a minute they became impatient and started to get mad at me.
We demand that €1 back!
At this point, I was still convinced that I hadn't screwed up, so I calmly explained my actions and how they would be corrected. They kept demanding the €1, which was in their right, so I kindly gave them the €1 back, and they kind of left fed up. The discussion kind of went back and forth for a while, as I tried to stay calm, not get a panic attack, and not to cry, as they kept getting mad and yelling at me. The next customer was really nice and gave me an extra €1 with his products, however, which was really nice. In the end, I did make the mistake, but is it that bad? We cashiers are human and we make mistakes. I was and always am in the position to help people. However, when they get mad at me, I am less likely to cooperate as a way of karma. Had they stayed calm and waited patiently, so they could calmly explain what I did wrong, I would probably have realized my mistake sooner and be more willing to help them. If you have discovered a mistake the cashier has made, please point it out nicely, and respect that they have more customers to help. 3. Cast me, Karen, K, Supervisor S, Sandwich Shop Employee, SE. So it happened. I finally met my first Karen after 19 years. I've met many people with the Karen haircut, but they've all been nice. Not this time. I work at a well-known corner shop in the UK. We also happen to have a well-known sandwich shop as a part of our shop. Now they have a fancy coffee machine that makes lattes and all the fancy coffee, so we all tend to use that to get tea or coffee. Sometimes they'll offer to make one for us. In the mornings there's usually only one person on making sandwiches, and we always have two. One supervisor and one sales assistant. Well, on this morning I was behind their counter making myself a cup of tea, because I hate coffee, and I only know how to make tea on the machine. SE was out in the warehouse sorting out their delivery, when Karen came in and caught me. I have my back to her minding my own business. Now bear in mind our uniforms are completely different. Ours is black with our company name. Theirs is green with a hat with their company name on the front of their shirt in huge letters.
Excuse me?
I turn around and smile. Yes, hello, I'll be over in just a sec. I assumed she was a customer from my side.
Make me a latte and cappuccino to go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm afraid I can't do that. I don't work here.
But you're using the machine and you are behind the counter, so you can just make me my drinks.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know how to make the drinks you want, and I don't work for the sandwich shop. I work for the corner shop. Look, my uniform says so. I point to the company logo on my shirt.
I don't care. You're behind the counter so you can make my drinks.
I'm getting fed up. I'm tired, and it's too early to be dealing with this. I was just making myself a cup of tea. If you give me a second, I can buzz up SE so she can make your drinks.
No, you're behind the counter. Don't lie to me, I just saw you use the machine, so you do know how to use it. You're just being difficult, you twat!
Look, I'm not lying to you, and I don't appreciate you talking to me like that. I start to walk over to the door to go to my side of the shop with my tea.
Don't you dare walk away from me, you bitch!
By this point, I've had enough, so I carry on walking to my side when she grabs my arm, making me spill my tea over both of us. Great, I'll have to clean that up. I ignore her and keep walking and immediately buzz my supervisor up. Karen's still having a go at me and screaming about how I threw my tea over her. Luckily, S finally heard all the commotion and came over. So, what's the problem here?
I tried to get some help from this employee here, but she ignored me. When I went to ask her again, she threw a drink on me. Look, it's burnt me.
Proceeds to show S where the tea landed on her arm. What? That's not true. I was making myself a drink and explained to her I couldn't make her drink for her. When I said that, she got all mad and grabbed me, making me spill my drink. Go watch the cameras. At this, Karen looks a little scared, but still kept her story. S goes to look at the cameras, and I go back behind the till to serve other customers. Karen stood quietly by the door. I'm surprised she didn't try and leave. S comes back out and proceeds to ban Karen for laying hands on me. She was fuming, but ultimately left when S threatened to call the police for assault. I now have the satisfaction of seeing her face plastered on our wall of shame every time I work. 4. A bit of background for those who may not know already. I'm a 22-year-old supervisor at a gas station that is linked to a larger retail store across the parking lot. I mostly work afternoons and evenings. Now, I know every employee who works at this small store, and whenever I clock in, I always check with the morning crew so I can be up to date on what is going on that day. One morning, 2 of the morning crew pulled me aside after I clocked in and told me of an incident they had to deal with that morning. They told me that a younger woman they dubbed Sushi Girl, SG, had come over to them with a package of fresh sushi. She asked what the expiration date is on the package. They answer, and SG replies,
"Isn't that tomorrow?"
They confirm her assumption, and it begins. SG asked,
"Why do you sell it so close to its expiration date?"
They replied that we make the sushi fresh in the main store, and sushi doesn't have a very long shelf life already. She then asks,
"Since it's going to expire soon, could I get it for free? I used to work at another store just like yours, and they let me get free sushi all the time."
The morning staff tell her that even though that may be the case in that store, our store policy forbids giving out food for free. Now, I feel like I have to explain myself here. As much as I would like to be able to give out free food, and I have talked to my boss about it, I was told that our company is looking into it, but there are a lot of legal issues and red tape to go through. Also, I know that once you start handing out freebies, it tends to attract the wrong kind of people. That would only cause us more trouble. So, as much as I would love to be kind and help, it wouldn't be the best idea in this situation. Even the employees don't get free food here. Now, back to the story. SG begins to rant to the morning crew about how she needs free food, and that there are many starving people in the city we are in. They thankfully hold their ground, and refuse to give the single pack of expensive sushi away. So after trying to guilt-trip the morning crew, SG changes tactics, and instead tries to get them to sell it at a major discount, which they also refuse. SG finally gives up, and leaves the store in a huff. After the morning crew finishes telling me, I tell them they did the right thing, and I silently hoped that she would try again while I was there, so I could get a chance at stopping this sort of behavior. Now, I am not normally a mean person, but when any customers mistreat my co-workers, I can get very worked up about it, as I am their supervisor and their friend, and I don't like seeing this sort of thing happen. But I figured SG wouldn't try to pull this stunt at my store again. Little did I know, I would actually get my wish. Fast forward a week, and I'm working on Christmas Eve with some different co-workers when I spot a younger-looking woman coming over to a co-worker with a case of expensive sushi. I think nothing of it until I overhear a bit of the conversation between them. The woman was asking my co-worker about the expiration date on the sushi, and then hit me. SG is back. I then move nearer to my co-worker and continue to listen. SG asks, since the sushi was about to expire, if she could get it for free. Co-worker says that he isn't allowed to do that, and he would check with his manager, aka me. Since I was already there, I just moved over and told her that I am the supervisor on duty that day, and the fun begins. SG looks over at me and seems surprised that I am the supervisor. I'm used to this, as I'm 22 and look even younger, so this reaction is normal. SG starts off by saying that she used to work at another store in the chain, and how she would get the soon-to-expire sushi for free, and SG asks if I would do the same. I braced myself for a possible angry customer situation, and told SG that it was against store policy to give food away. SG sighs, and says that there are a lot of starving people in our city, and that we can make a big impact for good in the community by giving her this pack of expensive sushi for free. Now, the city this station is in is quite nice and is very developed, and I haven't personally seen many poorer people around, let alone starving families. Obviously, I don't say this out loud, but I do hold my ground about this being store policy. SG begins to ask for a large discount, only to get the same response from me. She decides to try one last plea.
But it's Christmas!
I continue to hold my ground and explain why our company has this policy due to the governmental red tape. SG then says maybe she should write the state reps about this. I replied that is our right as American citizens to do that sort of thing. That does little to console her, and she continues to try to get a discount to no avail. She winds up paying full price for the sushi, and leaves the store in a huff. CW looks over at me and asks what that whole deal was. I simply tell him that we just dealt with SG. He looks shocked, and I tell him he did good by standing his ground and following store policy. We closed up early for the holidays and haven't seen SG since. I feel as though I should say that SG by no means looked poor or starving. SG was a fairly attractive woman and was dressed quite nicely, so there was no doubt she didn't need to eat something right away or else. 5. It happened in the beginning of August back in 2017. It was the first week back to school and needed to start shopping for the usual supplies. I had my mother drive me, didn't drive yet, to a Walmart in the area where she could just drop me off and take care of some errands she had to. I had just gotten out of school. That's a uniform school. The thing about my school's uniform is it looked practically identical to the Walmart uniform. Dark blue polo shirts and khaki pants that fit the bill. They do have two other colors, light blue and yellow, but I like the dark blue better. As for the pants, we could either wear khaki or black-colored pants. On that day, however, I had to wear the khaki because my black pants were in the wash. Aside from the colors, the only way to see that I wasn't an employee there was if you looked at my shoes and my school logo, a yellow shield with an R on the left side of my chest. I walked around the school supply area and picked up a few items, notebooks, binders, pencil bag holder, etc. All being held in front of me from my stomach to my chest, just barely covering my school logo. I went into another aisle to get my final items, sharpener or pens. Can't remember. When I hear a lady call to me.
Excuse me?
I look over to her.
Could you show me where the pencil boxes are? My daughter wants one that locks with a key.
Remembering that I passed through that aisle a few minutes ago, sure, I'd be happy to show you. As I lead her down, I must have looked lost because I would double-check aisles to be sure I found the right one. I'd almost get lost like that in stores as a kid. Once I found the one I was confident in, I pointed it to the lady. They should be here, but I can't be too sure about that. I smiled sheepishly. She smiled with a bit of concern.
All right, thank you very much.
I returned back to my searching. I felt proud of myself for being able to help her out, even if I wasn't completely sure myself. Once I got my things, I made a double check in case I forgot anything else before leaving. As I walked the aisle again, I saw the same lady talking to an actual employee wearing the Walmart vest. An older woman. She noticed me and pointed me out. I was confused and just watched, giving a small wave, both in shock and fearing that I somehow did something wrong when helping her out. The woman looked to me and started to laugh a bit, looking back to the lady. I didn't hear everything she heard, but I heard her say, "Oh no, she isn't one of our workers. The woman looked at her in shock and looked back to me. I saw her eyes move to a spot on my shirt. I looked, and it just so happened to show my school's logo. The woman laughed a bit to herself and said sorry before returning to her shopping. It soon clicked in my head that she thought I was an employee, and went to another to tell them about how I looked lost, probably asking if I had gotten enough training before being put to work on the floor. I soon found myself chuckling and went on my way to check out stuff. Before I left the self-checkout, the OW came up and grabbed my shoulder. "You're hired," she smiled, still chuckling. "Oh sweet, I'll start tomorrow." And with that, I bought my supplies and had a funny story to share with my mom when she came to get me. She had a good laugh herself when I told her, and made a comment about how if it was only that easy to get work. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 68. 2 in 1 week, I know. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I am working on a few new ideas. I'm going to put some feelers out within the next week or so, see what I can do about getting one of those videos finished up, because I'm kind of feeling the urge to do something new. You know, that kind of feeling you've been at it for a while. So I want to start some new series that we'll kind of do like I do on the Thursdays and the other days where I alternate, and we'll just kind of rotate them about and see whatever works. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up there for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.